The DREAM Act.
DREAM Act.
The DREAM Act.
The DREAM Act.
The DREAM Act.
DREAM Act.
Have you ever had a daydream? Monarchs certainly have. By daydream, I'm referring to people called dreamers, who are people that came to us illegally as children. The DREAM Act, or the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors Act, is where dreamers get their name. The purpose of the act is to provide people that came to us as children an opportunity to become U.S. citizens through set requirements in college, work, or the armed forces. Undocumented immigrants are actually essential to our workforce, pay taxes, and are still being affected badly by ostracization and the denial of many opportunities. The DREAM Act must be passed in order to give undocumented immigrants a chance at citizenship in the U.S. We discussed this topic with Ms. Teresa Cardinal Brown, the Managing Director for Immigration and Cross-Border Policy at the Bipartisan Policy Center, or the BPC. Here are a few of her words on the Dreamers' impact on our economy.
In spite of their undocumented status, many undocumented immigrants are supporting our economy in many of these roles that, especially during COVID, we have understood to be essential.
The Center for American Progress, or the CAP, states that 3 in 4 undocumented individuals in the workforce, an estimated 5 million, are essential workers. The CBPP, or the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, states that undocumented immigrants without college degrees actually help raise American workers' wages and improve labor market efficiency by filling gaps that could otherwise make the jobs of Americans impossible to fulfill. The fact that undocumented immigrants are so essential to our workforce and pay taxes, yet they gain little to nothing in return, is a painful and unfair truth. Let's go to the Department of Treasury to find out more. Yes, you heard me right. Undocumented immigrants do in fact pay taxes, even though there's a common misconception that they choose not to. The IRS estimates that undocumented immigrants pay $9 billion in withheld payroll taxes annually. Undocumented immigrants also help make the Social Security system more solvent because they pay into the system but are ineligible to collect benefits upon retirement. But all tax benefits other than emergency Medicaid services and labor and delivery services under CHIP are unavailable for undocumented immigrants. The government is fully aware that taxation and immigration laws are misaligned and that they make billions off undocumented immigrants annually, but they do nothing to address this issue, which is disgusting and downright unconstitutional. Why do lawmakers refuse to address this issue when it not only affects undocumented immigrants financially, but also mentally? Undocumented immigrants cannot apply for citizenship while living in the U.S. without authorization because there's currently no line available through the quote-unquote regular channels. There are organizations like the one that we're here at today, the Central American Solidarity Association, or CASA, that work to help undocumented immigrants get acclimated to life in the U.S. But sadly, even with the help of these organizations, many undocumented immigrants could live the rest of their lives without any chance of becoming a legal citizen of this country. These are the same undocumented immigrants that the CAP says have lived and worked in the U.S. for about 16 years on average. The Mexican Migration Field Research Project found that undocumented immigrants would use avoidance strategies to make sure that they weren't caught or deported. These avoidance strategies include changing their appearance, changing their behavior, and using surrogates to do things like buying groceries. All of these avoidance strategies are focused on drawing as little attention to themselves as possible. The fear that created these avoidance strategies also caused them to associate things such as driving and taking walks with anxiety and risk of deportation. And even after all this, there are still lawmakers on Capitol Hill that believe that giving undocumented citizens basic rights would be too much to ask. Many lawmakers say that they're in favor of helping dreamers, but believe that passing the DREAM Act would worsen the border crisis. This includes Lindsey Graham, who initially proposed a new version of the DREAM Act early 2021, but later retracted his support due to the border crisis. But the DREAM Act is meant to help undocumented immigrants currently residing in the U.S. gain citizenship. Immigration legislation and the border crisis are two different issues that need their own solutions. This is similar to what we heard in our interview with Ms. Brown, where she discusses this topic more.
Before we can, for example, pass a DREAM Act or something to help the Dreamers, we need to deal with the situation at the border. I think it's not a direct impact in that their situation is unique to them, and enforcement in the interior of the United States is different from enforcement at the border.
Another common rebuttal that people like U.S. Representative Mike Kelly use against the act is that passing the act would be unfair for immigrants that got into the U.S. legally. But according to the American Immigration Council, immigrants come to us illegally as refugees or asylum seekers looking for humanitarian protection. This is because in the U.S., an immigrant cannot qualify as a refugee or an asylum seeker due to poverty or difficult economic conditions in their home country. And so, many immigrants are left with no other choice. And to add to that, the majority of undocumented immigrants in the US currently came with visas but overstayed their time limit. It is imperative to recognize the human rights that are being denied to immigrants in the US. Undocumented immigrants should be given a chance at having basic rights in the US because dreamers are American in every sense of the word, and as such, they are important to the economy and help keep America running. America is made up of immigrants, so why aren't we allowing dreamers the opportunity to flourish?